G'day jabronis, it is Averd, back with you again and welcome here to our team builder for week 1 of the PPL. Your Tampa Bay Frogadiers are opening their season up against the Miami Malamarlins. He's changed his team name, but it's my boy Tone. We have only played Tone I think twice before. One time was in NPL Minors and we played very well against him and we were able to pick up the W. And the second time we played against him was, I believe, PTL, and we also beat him there. So currently we're 2-0 against him, which is pretty awesome. I'm looking to make that 3-0 here, but it's going to be a tough ask. He's got a very, very good team. But I'm going to break down the team that I brought, why I brought certain things, all that jazz. You know how I roll with these kind of things. So if you're hyped for this game, if of course you're a big fan of the Frogadiers, make sure you like that video, all that good shit. But first thing, before I forget, because I'm still not used to level 50 crap. Okay, so Thunderous is my lead of choice in this matchup against Tone. I just find that Thundy matches up really nicely against the majority of his team. There's a few reasons why. First and foremost, I think that he's very likely to want to lead off with his Charizard. I think his two leads of choice, in my opinion, Charizard, well, maybe there's three. Charizard, Rotom, and Nidoqueen. For me, are the three that I think he would choose. So, against all of them, Thundy has a phenomenal matchup with the set that I brought, and this is just kind of designed to shut down a lot of his team. So, first and foremost, Taunt is basically there for things like the Mew, the Rotom, and the Nidoqueen. I can just turn one Taunt against all of them, prevent potential setup, and the biggest thing is preventing rocks. Although I only really have one rock weak mon on my team, rocks are just, well, I mean, Thundy is as well, but rocks are just super annoying. I want to prevent them, and it also is really nice in the matchup against Rotom, because if Rotom is taunted, then there's a good chance that my Seismitoad can kind of come in for free against it, as you'll see from the Seismitoad set that I brought. It shuts down what the Rotom can do, it basically forces it into Hydro Pump or Bust play against my Thundy. So that's super nice. I expect him to bring Toxic on Rotom, as he could bring the Willow on the Rotom, but I feel like he won't. I highly doubt that Tone's going to bring like a Sugarberry Rotom, predicting arrows or anything like that. I feel his best check to my Zygarde is going to be his Mew, and I expect that to be the primary switch in to deal with Zygarde in this matchup. So, yeah. Taunt first and foremost is for that reason. Thunderwave is basically there for two mons in particular. That is mainly there for the Hydreigon and the Zardex, so both of his dragons, mainly. Zardex especially, in the matchup where Zardex leads, I could obviously taunt turn one if I wanted to, but Thunderwaving is way more optimal, as by T-Waving the Charizard, then its DDs don't mean as much. I could then, potentially hard swap out to my Seismitoad, which is designed to be the Charizard check, and even if Charizard, is able to potentially take out my Seismitoad, Seismitoad's done its job. Like, it's dealt with the Zard, and Zard also, like, because it's so slow, other things can just come in afterwards and just blow it away. So, because of this, by being able to get off that Thunder Wave early doors on the potential DD turn, means I can also preserve my Sash and just Volt Switch out of there and get a bit chipped, so that's really, really nice. Volt Switch is super good in this situation, because if I taunt things like the Rotom and then proceed to go for Volt Switch, it allows me to see if the Rotom wants to stay in or not, and whether I can play around that in the long run. For sure, like, Psychic is basically just there because Nidoqueen is a Pokemon. I could have ran HP Ice, as that would have hit Bulu quite nicely, but I just don't see him bringing Bulu to this matchup, given that I have two of the best checks of Bulu in the game, being Roserade and Celesteela on my squad. I just feel that Bulu is not something that I would be considering bringing to this matchup. I mean, he granted could try and bring certain sets to try and break those two down, but I just feel that Bulu is a little bit too walled by both. The only set that could maybe be frustrating is like a Leech Seed, Zen Headbutt variant, but even then he has to predict on turns of which one I go into if I brought both. Like, I just don't see it being a set that will bring. And even if it is that set, I can just taunt the Bulu with Thundy and then proceed to go out to Celesteela and not worry about a thing. So, like, I'm not really too fussed about that at all. The Thundy is just a really solid anti-lead against the majority of my opponent's team, shuts down a lot of stuff, and then can just proceed to do damage. I'm a little bit worried about clicking Taunt turn 1 against Nidoqueen and then just getting Ice Beam to the face. That's obviously annoying, but at the same time it is preventing rocks, which is super important. Then I can just fire off a Psychic. Psychic on the Nidoqueen is super important, as that will put it into range of my Zygarde regardless of the Sugar Berry it might be holding, puts in a range of Sneasel, and puts in a range of Diancie. So being able to put it in range of all those mons to sacrifice rocks for that kind of bargaining is pretty worth it in my eyes. But moving on, speed-wise is literally just speed creeping Charizard, because obviously. Next up we have Seismitoad. This is the primary check to Zard X. However, it has a fun little double act that it's doing, where it actually is technically a check to Rotom Wash as well, because I am running Water Absorb this week. There is a chance you can bring HP Grass Rotom, but I feel that if his moveset is like, if he doesn't have Pain Split, then he's in a pretty bad spot, I feel, against a fair few things on my team that can just like wear it down over time. He could run HP Ice for Zygarde, he could run Willow, Toxic. There's a lot of moves, a lot of options. I just feel like HP Grass, I don't know, I don't expect it to be one, because I feel like, you know, 9 times out of 10 he will actually think that Toad doesn't really have the best matchup against Rotom, and he may expect me to want to run like a Swift Swim variant or something else, potentially for the matchup, and Rotom could be the check. So in that case I think he's better off just clicking Toxic against me, but Toad is pretty solid here. Comes in really safely against Zard, like obviously doesn't take the hits super duper well, but can take them, and if you know if it's Adamant Zard I can kind of scout that. Realistically all Toad needs to do, because of the way that I've orientated my team, is just needs to tank hits and either go for Stealth Rock immediately or go for Earth Power, because the rest of my team can kind of handle Zard after that. Rocks early are super important. I don't want to exchange rocks turn 1 though. I'd rather just leave Thundy, kind of shut that down, and then go out to Seismitoad and get my rocks for free basically, because that's the other move on Rotom that I'm kind of expecting is Defog. Yeah, he's got a lot of moves to choose from. I just feel like HP Grass ain't going to be one of them, so Toad kind of matches up super well against Rotom there. Scald is there mainly for the Skarmory. I want to try and burn that, because if the Skarmory is burned, then Iron Head does not kill my Mega Diancie, and that's huge in the long term of this game. Toxic is massive in this game too. Just Toxic spam, as you'll see with the Selly set too, is just really important against a lot of Tone's team. He doesn't have a lot of answers to it, and it's very, very frustrating for him, especially like if he brings Bulu and I can just get a Toxic off against it. That's really, really nice. But I was tempted to go Rocky Helmet, but I feel that if I get Rocks up with Toad, it'll make up for the Rocky Helmet damage that I would have got, and in the long term it is a better play. As you will see from some of the mons later on, I do have contingency plans for like a +1 Zard running amok if need be. But moving on, we've got Selly here. This is just such a super obnoxious set against Tone's team, but it works so well. Only Heavy Slam means that there is obviously a few downsides. Primarily speaking, Leech Seed and Toxic is my only real way to deal with Zard, which obviously isn't ideal. I did initially have Stomping Tantrum on a set, but Toxic's huge. I can Poison Mew and he can't synchronize me back, which is great. I can just Leech Seed against the Skarm and then go freely out to my Toad or out to my Torn. Sorry, not Torn, my Thundy, you know, potentially keep its Sash intact. I just have so many plays with Selly, and it's super obnoxious for him to deal with. His Grass type does not check it. Like, I 1v1 his Grass type with my Steel type, so that's not really stopping it. And it's just super frustrating for him to take down. Pairs really nicely with my Seismitoad in this matchup. They kind of deal with all the threats. And, you know, they just kind of clear the path for a lot of my other mons to just sweep and clean. I think I have like 2 very good cleaners in this matchup for sure. But the bulk-wise kind of side of things, I just wanted a lot of HP because I knew that Selly was going to be taking hits from either side. And then at the same time, just kind of mixed bulk. A bit more favoring Spadef because of how Fizz-Def my Toad is. I feel that I want this Selly to be, you know, dealing with things like, you know, Hydreigon, and potentially like a Carmine variant of Mew. I want that to be the primary kind of check to those ones, but as you can see for like the rest of the team, Mew isn't exactly getting a free setup anytime soon, so that's really solid too. Now this is one of the reasons why I'm not exactly too worried about DD Zard. I am actually bringing a Choice Scarfed Sneasel to this matchup. I am curious about one thing, just looking at this Sneasel. I just want to see something. So 168. Okay. Yeah, that's my dilemma. So now you're wondering like, oh Verd, why the hell was there 116 investment up here and then only 140 with the Jolly Nature? It's literally for that reason. Adamant Sneasel speed ties with Jolly Zard, and in the situation of this thing being the primary check to a DD Zard that's run amok, I need this thing to guaranteed outspeed, because I am running Foul Play this week. Now, Foul Play is a bit of an interesting move to give on Sneasel, but it's more factoring in the attacks out of my opponent. So because of the fact that he's a Zardex, and the fact that he's DD'd, it means that Foul Play is going to be doing an absolute shit ton of knocking him out. I had Punishment for the same reason, which is, Punishment is also nice for Mew in the long run. This set is also kind of designed for a Mew trying to run amok, but Mew isn't as terrifying in my eyes. But basically, yeah, the whole premise of this Sneasel is that it is a revenge killer to the Zard if I need it to be. Late game, it's also just super good. It counters his potential Scarfers. Knockoff spam, super nice. Now I'm taking a risk running Pursuit over Icicle Crash. So I initially had Icicle Crash, but I decided to go with Pursuit instead because I feel there's going to be some situations where Sneasel's going to be able to come in against an opponent and potentially they're going to want to try and preserve. Something like, say, if Mew's at low health but he knows that he can get a free heal against Seismitoad later in the game, or Selly, he might want to try and preserve it, and that's the point where I can just go for that Pursuit and basically knock him out. I want to try and bluff the Scarf for as long as possible. I don't want to reveal it too early in the game, as, you know, Sneasel is such a big win con in the back. Like, late game, it can just run through teams. The extra bulk is actually really nice too, because I can take a ton of hits, because that Spadef stat's really nice. But yeah, Inner Focus, because I'm pretty sure the other ability is Booty. Yep, all the other abilities are Booty. Inner Focus, because you never know, like, if someone's going to go for Fake Out for some god knows what reason. But yeah, just a really solid set, man. Like, Crash would be nice, obviously, for the Hydreigon, but I feel like because my Selly is so bulky, and he doesn't necessarily know that I'm a Scarfed Sneasel, I feel he'll be a bit tentative going into Hydreigon. If he does go into a Scarf variant, he will either be clicking, I feel, a fighting move, or U-turn, and Selly is a pretty solid answer. I can obviously also just go hard into Seismitoad if I'm worried about the potential fire move going off, and then double into Selly on the next turn. I've definitely got plays around Hydreigon, more or less. Moving on to probably the most convoluted but most important set I feel in this matchup, and that is Joyride the Zygarde. I've been very much experimenting with different Zygarde sets in the past, but this one pretty much takes the cake when it comes to just wacky, stupid, probably shouldn't work but is going to set. I don't know. I'm hoping it works. So the basic premise of this Zygarde, there's like a few different things about it. I believe the speed that I've given it is enough to creep Jolly Bulu. Pretty sure. I could be wrong. Let me try and remember. Well, nope, not Impish. That would be wrong. Jolly Bulu at level 50. Nah, am I creeping Adamant Bulu? Hey, I am. Okay, cool. So I'm creeping Adamant Bulu. Because I feel like he has no reason to bring Jolly. Because he does outspeed Seismitoad by a point, so there is a chance he can bring Jolly Bulu, but at the same time I don't care if he brings Bulu. And if he does bring it, I expect it to be Adamant, so I'm just going to creep that because I have no reason not to. It's super free for me and it allows me to run the bulk that I have. So you're probably like, Verd, you handsome bastard, what the hell is this bulk about? So, first and foremost, the 20 defense with that 188 HP ensures that after rocks, my Zygarde lives an Adamant Dragon Claw from Charizard X. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if he clicks Outrage? If he clicks Outrage and kills my Zygarde, he is doubling down his Zardex for my Zygarde, because Diancie can come in on the next turn and kill his Zard with Power Gem. So, not the worst case scenario. Obviously not ideal. I actually initially had Habanberry for that situation where he might try and double down, but unfortunately, I decided that Bandit was just better in the long run. So, Bandit's super good here. Oh, sorry, the 888 investment as well is designed in there so that a Mew's Ice Beam cannot actually knock me out, which is super good. So I can live a Mew Ice Beam after rocks, and I can also live a Zard X Dragon Claw after rocks. I'm not saying he'll get rocks up, but it's good to have that contingency plan just in case. Iron Tail is literally just there if Bulu comes around. E-Speed is great for just picking things off late game, and Arrows is the main spam move. It's just good to scout what kind of Mew set I'm dealing with. If it's not a super bulky set, then Arrows will easily 2-hit KO. If it's a bit bulkier, then I will probably just go hard Sneasel. I don't know. It's either going hard Sneasel, but I'm worried about Willow, so I may go hard Selly. Even potentially in a situation, hard Diancie could be a nice aggressive play because of the magic bounce. although he will synchronize. So I don't know, it's very iffy on what I would do there, but I can just kind of scout. And then Outrage is actually a very interesting tech here. I was talking to Gypsy about it, and the reason why Outrage is here is because of the Mew. So if he gets into a pattern where he knows his Mew can come in and take 2 arrows, he'll be very likely to send it in. And with the way that I'm orientating my team and the plans that I have, I want to try and target down the fact that he's going to probably leave his Skarmory vulnerable to my Zygarde's arrow spam. And because of that, that's why I want to pack the Outrage, because no matter what Mew set that he is, even if he's fully Fizz Def, Bold Nature, Outrage is guaranteed to a KO no matter what. Only way it's not, I believe, is if he's a Citrus Berry Mew. Max Defense Citrus Berry Mew is the only set that can actually take 2 Banded Outrages from this variant. I guess the other way is if he's like more offensive and then is able to just fire off an Ice Beam and kill me, but at the same time, chipping the Mew down to that range does pretty much, if he's running enough investment to Ice Beam that and knock me out, then that means there's a good chance that Sneasel can come in after the Outrage and Pursuit Trap and kill the Mew, or Thundy can come in, or Diancie can come in. I got plays for days. The 192 attack still does a shit ton of damage. It knocks out Zard most of the time. All I can get is arrows. This is the importance, like I said, of the Seismitoad getting the rocks up, because then Zard's never really an issue. Or this is the importance too of my Thunderous being able to get off that T-Wave, because it ensures that Zygarde becomes a huge threat. Bulu is a potential Zygarde check, but I feel like Bulu is very unlikely to come in this matchup, and I also feel that the Skarmory and the Mew, well, especially the Mew, is designed to be the best check, but in this situation I don't think it's going to be that great of a check. I think that Zygarde is going to overwhelm it over time, and it's just going to hopefully overrun him. I just think Zygarde's going to run through him. Like, even though I'm not bringing like a DD sweep set, I don't need it, because the main sweep set I actually have, as well as like the Sneasel, is this Diancie. So when it came to Diancie this week, I really just wanted to focus on making it very simple but very effective. So I knew I wanted Moonblast because, like, dragons, get out of my sight. I knew I wanted Power Gem. It was just like, the Dual Stab was just very, very good against this team, and the one thing that dealt with the Dual Stab was Nidoqueen. So I'm deciding to run Psychic over Earth Power. That's because I believe he's going to bring a Sugar Berry Nidoqueen to this matchup. It makes a ton of sense because of the fact that, you know, I've got a Seismitoad, I've got a Zygarde, I've got a Celesteela that can run Earthquake, Diancie can run Earth Power. There's just so many mons on my team that could run ground coverage. It makes more sense to run that than a Pyapa Berry expecting, you know, like Psychic from Thundy or Psychic from Diancie. And that's where this set comes into its whole fold, because with Calm Mind, I put myself in a very strong position against a lot of my opponent's teams. So this is the situation I was talking about with Skarmory, right? So if I Calm Mind up with Diancie and his immediate... Well, the plan would not be to Calm Mind with Diancie straight away. My plan early doors is just to attack. No matter what move, I just attack to scout the Skarmory set. So I figure out like how much damage has been done to Skarm, and from that damage, I can then gauge, you know, what kind of set it's probably going to be. So that's a super important thing. If I can figure out that it's a Spadef variant, then I won't be as like easy to Calm Mind. But if I know that it could be a Spadef variant, it's more of a mixed variant, then that puts him in dangerous range of Power Gem. If he brings like a Fizz Def Skarm for some reason to this matchup, thinking that's the Zygarde check for some reason, then Diancie has a field day, because after a Calm Mind boost, Skarm dies after rocks if it's just max HP. So that's huge for me. Psychic at +1 knocks out Nidoqueen if it's just a max HP variant too, so again, scouting with the Thundy, scouting with everything at this point to ensure that Diancie basically late game, if there is no dedicated Scarfer, or if all of them have been like dealt with, Diancie can kind of just clean very freely, very easily, without really any fuss in the world. So definitely definitely a super important set here. I don't really even need Moonblast in the long run. Like, Power Gem plus Psychic can kind of just do everything I needed to do. I was also tempted to run like Sub or Protect, because I felt that there was a chance of him being Scarf-type Dragon. And I am tempted to kind of drop Moonblast to do that, because in a lot of situations I don't really want to be clicking Moonblast. Like, his Dark type is weak to Moonblast, so he'll probably swap out of Fear, and Power Gem can still blow that thing away, especially at +1. yeah, it's mainly just because it's my best way to hit Mew. It hits a bit harder than Power Gem would, so it's slightly tempting. Protect is an interesting venture though, because if there is a Scarfer, especially the Hydreigon, I can see it's going to go try to go for like a Scarfed Iron Tail or something to catch me, or you know, like an Earth Power or something. Then I can kind of play around that and just go into Selly and put myself in a strong position, or I could use the old double fake and just kind of stay in and proceed to Calm Mind as he swaps out and lets another Pokemon die. So definitely a lot of head games there, but this is the team. Honestly, I'm pretty excited to use this team. I think that it's just really strong for this matchup. There's obviously Tone's got a whole team of threats. I don't really have a dedicated Hitmonlee counter, to be honest. Like Diancie has a bit of defense to deal with it. Zygarde's pretty bulky. Sneasel might outspeed to get Mark Punch. Basically relying on Selly because of how fat it is to be able to take a hit from Hitmonlee, and also Toad to do the same thing. Pretty much, like, I mean, I don't expect Hitmonlee to come in this matchup. I just feel that it doesn't do much. The 6 that I'm fully expecting are Rotom Wash, Mew, Zardex, Hydreigon. What else has he got? It's those ones. Skarmory and Nidoqueen. They're the 6 that I'm expecting him to bring. Whether he brings all those, I don't know. He could, he might not. I could just be completely wrong and get absolutely destroyed. That's just the game that you play. So I'm risking it for the biscuit, though. I feel like my team can do the job and I can get the game done. It's going to be interesting on Wi-Fi, though, doing calcs and everything else, just trying to figure out you know, how invested a certain mon's going to be, but I think a lot of the calcs will be very clear. It's just deciding on like 50-50s and whatnot, which is granted my Achilles heel a lot of times in mons, but I feel confident with the team. I feel confident with myself, so I just want to go out there and get the job done. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. I'm sorry if I sound a bit tired. I've just come off like a full day of work, and unfortunately I've like literally just found out that I have to work a shift tomorrow when I was meant to have the day off, so feels poplio, man. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy this. The game against Tone should be a fun one. Definitely going to be super enjoyable. He's a good friend of mine, so I think it'll be a battle of... I'm hoping he has wrestling nicknames too. That'd be great. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure that you like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. And yeah, just leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about the team. If you know, you feel like there's better wrestlers I can name them after, or you know, if you felt like the sets that I brought were bad or good or whatnot. With Diancie, I've been contemplating also running Rock Polish over Calm Mind, but I just feel Calm Mind's better in the long run, because there are some situations like where I can Calm Mind up against a mon when it wants to attack me, and I can then eat the hit and then like proceed to win after that. So I don't know, I got definitely a lot of plays, but yeah, that's gonna do it for me. My name is The Bird. I'm out of this bitch.